All right, welcome in Detroit Sports Talk, Fifth Chapter. Dennis Smithy and Brian Jelinek. Jelinek, how are you?
Well, after that whole debacle we had on Tuesday evening, I am back. I'm ready to go. I have good internet connection. There's no weather outside. I'm ready to fly, man. That was a tough evening all around.
Yeah, you know that the NFL kicks off tonight. There's like
Mm-hmm.
I know you're an NFL fan. I'm an NFL fan. It's like what I could do to say, I'm so excited. I'm pretty pumped up, pretty jacked that the season's here. College football didn't disappoint last weekend, and now here we are, Thursdays, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, it happens, and it's the first year in Michigan that you can gamble on football. For a lot of people, that's a big deal, and for the Lions here, they get the good news and bad news today. The good news is that their running back is not implicated in a murder investigation, homicide, and that popped up on the internet. That was kind of crazy. But the bad news is their left tackle is not going to play. So Penei Sewell, who was struggling at right tackle, everybody's he was a left tackle, but now he might be playing left tackle after practicing at right tackle for the entire preseason. Woo! How about that? Would you leave him at? Here's the hard-hitting question for you. We are going to talk about it later. Would you leave him at right tackle, or are you flipping him over and playing him at left tackle? What do you think they'll do there?
If they move in the left tackle, they got to keep him there. I think it's just that simple. If I would keep him at the right tackle position because we have Taylor Decker established on the left side. You got to keep him at the right. But if they move him tomorrow or on Sunday, to the left tackle spot, they got to keep him there for the year and tell Decker to move over or something. I have no idea what though.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that if it was a season, it's not. It's a finger injury, so that doesn't. Maybe that keeps him out half the year. Maybe it just keeps him out one game. If it's just a game or two, I'm with you. I would keep him over there at right tackle. You don't want to be flipping him and flopping him all the time.
Yeah.
You just keep him over there. It's not about if this team was just a player away from, you thought, Super Bowl contention and everything else, maybe you'd put him over at left and you'd say, hey, we'll find a right tackle on a practice squad, but that's not the situation. One of the most important parts to this season, and it's not the record, it's about the development of Sewell. Yep. So you don't want to be flip-flopping around. That's a great point. So we are going to talk about the Lions, but not right out of the gate. We do have our book that we can show you with our chapters that we are going. There it is, about what we're going to be talking about. And you can see the NFL getting underway. We got a couple things that we will predict coming up, not only with the game tonight, but all of some things season long. You'll see it there. You've got both Michigan and Michigan State in action. We'll get our Lions season prediction. And then I'm ready to make some wagers, and I'm going to do it. And I know you're going to do it. I've got some real wagers going on. All before, it was all just talk. We were just talking wagers, and this is like what I would do. But, this time around, I'm actually, as my old friend Jim Moore used to say, going to the window. It doesn't really matter what you say about what you're predicting unless you're actually going to the window. And I actually am going to the window starting with tonight's game. So that is awesome. You see Pete Finelli, he's our intern. He is out in Happy Valley, and he is pretty happy after the Nittany Lions scoring a victory in week 1.
God.
And we're all happy as well. So let's get ready and get this thing kicked off with chapter number 1. And that takes us to the kickoff of the NFL season tonight. You got the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're the Super Bowl champs. They're taking on the Cowboys. We're going to make a lot of predictions here. But, as you looked at making and Super Bowl predictions is the one, the big one that we got out there. It was Tampa and Kansas City. That feels like let's just run that one back. If I was betting on it, but how much fun is that saying, well, what, my prediction, I like the Chiefs and Bucks, but is that the direction you're going? You want to be right. Is that the direction you're going?
That's the direction I think I'm going. I don't want it to be like that, but you're right. All signs in the NFL point like the Bucks and the Chiefs are going to be back in there. I don't see anybody in the AFC stopping the Chiefs getting there. And on the NFC side, I don't think any of these teams can compare. I saw a lot of stuff today about Matthew Stafford winning the Super Bowl MVP and the Rams going to the Super Bowl. As much as cool as that would be for LA and Stafford, I don't see that happening. I don't see the Rams being better than Aaron Rodgers and his attitude or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. I think it's going to be the Bucks or the Packers against, I'm looking at my notes here right now, the Chiefs. I don't think the AFC is that great outside of the AFC is good, don't get me wrong, but the Chiefs are clearly the best team in football.
Yeah, I like the Bills, and I like where Josh Allen's at. Their defense is coming around a little bit, but I don't think they're better than the Chiefs. No. The Chiefs' issue last year was their offensive line, and they redid their offensive line. They went out and they fixed that. They've got Patrick Mahomes. So they got Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid's still there, and so's Kelsey, and so's Hill. And I feel pretty strong about Kansas City being able to be there. And, Tampa Bay in 2021 – we're sitting here where you talk about free agency and there's Tom right there out on the boat. He's feeling pretty good. Got all the
that was an all-time video.
It was awesome. He's got his crimson and cream shirt, not crimson and cream, orange creamsicle shirt on there. But they returned everybody. They didn't lose anybody. There's that Super Bowl, 7 rings. He's got the fingers going up. So he returns everyone. And I say, going into the Super Bowl or going into the playoffs last year, I was in a fantasy league, and it was one of these where you could it wasn't a snake draft. You just got to pick your players. You got to pick 2 quarterbacks. You can pick this quarterback, you pick that quarterback. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to root. I was rooting for the Bucks to get there. I like Tom Brady. But you know what? I didn't pick him when it came down to the money. I was just like, I'm not picking Tom Brady here. I just thought that the Packers, that somebody else was going to be able to, knock him off, but didn't happen. So we know, man, he just did it again.
Are you talking about last year with the Bucks getting there? Because
last year with the Bucks getting there, I didn't think the Bucks were going to do it before the season. As I watched the season, I didn't think it was going to happen, and I doubted them even going into the playoffs. I doubted them. I thought they were going to lose the Super Bowl. I thought they were going to lose the NFC Championship. And I've done that with Brady a bunch of times. I did it with the Patriots a bunch of times too. When they got rid of Lawyer Malloy, I was like, Belichick, is trying to get too cute. Richard Seymour, on down the line. They're always taking quality players, kicking them to the curb. And it's like, you're just leaving Tom Brady. It's just you and Tom Brady. And, they proved me wrong all of those times over the years. I didn't pick against them every single year, every single Super Bowl or anything. But, it always, seems like, it's always, when you have one of these great teams, let's just say Alabama in college football, it's like, I would pick Alabama this year, to be the one that you're always like, well, I'm going to pick the team where they finally upset it, man. Bucks, you just keep with Tom Brady, just keep going to the window, just keep going, Tom. And, I understand that. Having said that, I didn't pick either the Chiefs or the Bucks, the heavy favorites to get to the Super Bowl. And I went way off the board. San Francisco, the team that the Lions are playing in week 1, 2 years ago, outstanding defense, the zone blocking running scheme that Kyle Shanahan had. I think what they have going on now, I think, Shanahan's one of the better coaches in the NFL. I think the 49ers, you might say they're a surprise team because if you look at a lot of the numbers last year, they had so many injuries. But I like the 49ers coming out of the NFC. And on the AFC, way back in July, when the first numbers for the futures came out, I took a value of the Tennessee Titans of winning the AFC, and you know what? I think that they can do it. You start to say, "Well, you're crazy." It's whatever you want to call me crazy. I'm not picking the Chiefs. I'm not picking the Bills. I'm picking the Tennessee Titans. Titans and 49ers Super Bowl. There it is.
I don't think Ryan Tannehill can get a team to the Super Bowl like that. As great as Derrick Henry is, and as great as what's his face? It's AJ Brown.
AJ Brown, Julio Jones.
As great as Jones. I forgot about Julio, but I don't see Ryan Tannehill being able to take a team over the hump like that. You can only rely on King Henry so much. You just need some sort of it factor in the quarterback. And I don't think Ryan Tannehill has that. I think he's a little bit of a fraud. I like the idea. I like going off the grid because I kind of want to go off the grid as well. As much as I think it's going to be the Chiefs representing the AFC again, that's going to happen. We all know that. I don't want it to. I want to go with Bills and Packers, man. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing out of his mind this year just because of how terrible this offseason was. He's going to be on some.
I love this picture of the Titans. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's got Tannehill just to the back, but it's got AJ Brown. You've got Derrick Henry, and you have Julio Jones. I can't tell. I think On the left of the screen, I think that's King Henry, and I don't know. I can't tell which one's Julio. Actually, it looks like now that I look at their numbers, because Henry's 22, he's up front. But it's just a sweet photo.
I actually follow this really weird nerd account on Twitter called Helmet Stalker, and it talks about
called Gaines Media. Oh, I'm sorry.
It is not. I do follow Gaines Media now, and that is a big nerd account. But I follow this account. I highly recommend it, called Helmet Stalker, where they go through and just talk about all the setups these guys have on their heads. It's pretty cool, and I could tell that was Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, and then Julio up on the left from right to left. Excuse me. But as I was saying, the Chiefs are going to get there. I don't want them to. I'm saying Bills and Packers. The fact that Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing really well this year. I think he has a chip on his shoulders his last year in Green Bay. I think that would be the most Aaron Rodgers thing ever, be to win in Green Bay and walk away from the Packers. So give me Pack and Bills, man.
Yeah, I'll be rooting against that. I'm not. You might be right. I mean, the Rodgers is great, and the Packers have done it to me for seemingly my whole life. So that wouldn't surprise me. But that would definitely be something I'll be rooting against. If you're watching right now and you're out there and saying, "Yeah, this is fun. I want to be involved. How do I get involved?" There's a bunch of different ways. If you're watching on YouTube, just go ahead and type in the comments. We read them. You see Paul W. on the comments right there talking about Gus Edwards being injured today. How do you feel on Sony Michel as a replacement? Well, Sony Michel went from the Patriots to the Rams.
Yep.
So he's, going to be there because they lost their lead running back. But now you've got the top two backs for Baltimore, both with what are season-ending injuries. That's crazy. They signed Le'Veon Bell, so I think he's going to be next up. The former Steeler, Jet, and Chief now. And then
Hollywood Brown will be getting a lot there in Baltimore as well without the running game. I think they're going to be throwing the ball more.
Yeah, I think you look. They also, I think they got Devontae Freeman. He was cut, so I think you've got, and there's a picture of what is Henderson. That looks like Henderson for the Rams. Cam Akers got hurt there. That's why they got and went out and made the trade for Sony Michel. But there's a couple. They got Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell. And keep an eye. I think everybody's going to keep an eye on what the Texans are in full tank mode. They're trying to do what the Dolphins did last year. It didn't work out really for the Dolphins. They ended up not being the worst team in the league. There's not a presumptive number one. They're just flat out tanking now. They traded one of their corners today, but they've got so many. They've got what? They've got David Johnson. They've got Mark Ingram. They have Philip Lindsay, and they've got Rex Burkhead. I think that's four backs. Burkhead, you wouldn't say is a lead back, but David Johnson's done it before. Ingram was there. I could see one of those guys going there, but maybe they'll go with the two veterans, and then who knows what they'll do after that. But I would keep an eye on the Texans there, one of those backs.
Yeah, I don't really buy the Philip Lindsay hype that much anymore either. I mean, he had that 1,200-yard year, 2 years ago, and he's fallen off the face of the earth since then. I don't think that's going to be a good fit in Houston. They have a terrible line to begin with. It's just going to be Ingram and David Johnson involved. I mean, you can count on David Johnson getting hurt halfway through the season and Ingram getting most of the snaps. So that's kind of my idea of what's going to happen with the Texans.
Yeah, my idea is Baltimore's going to pick one of those guys. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's going to be Burkhead or Philip Lindsay. It's going to be one of the top two backs.
Okay. Yeah. David Johnson, I would bet on that.
Yeah.
There's, Paul's talking about the fantasy angle. Yeah, we were talking about the fantasy angle there. Producing the show, Robert Banker saying that was a picture of Sony Michel. So I thought that was Henderson. Those guys look a lot alike.
Okay, one thing about Darrell Henderson is I feel like he's been in the league for like 15 years, and I think this is, year 3 or 4 for him. I did not realize he wasn't in the league for that long. I get that confused every year. I feel like I've drafted him every year, and he's been solid for like 3 games, and he's died for the rest of the season every year. I can't stand that man for that reason.
Well, if you're a fantasy football, or I guess a Rams fan or a fantasy football fan, and you have Henderson, like he showed some promise, but they just don't want to let him be a lead back. They just don't want him to, or they don't want him to be the guy that's going to get all the carries. He's got to share it. Whether it was going to be with Cam Akers, I mean, they took Cam Akers pretty high, and then now they got Sony Michel there, so obviously they don't trust him to shoulder the load.
Yep,
for sure. That's it. All right, well, let's look at some of the other. I asked you to come up with a surprise team, a disappointing team, and also a bold prediction. Let's go with a bold prediction from Brian Jelinek. Go.
The Chargers make the playoffs this year. The Chargers are making the playoffs. They're also my surprise team, obviously enough for that reason. But the Chargers are going to play well. I like Brandon Staley as a coach. I think he was a solid D coordinator. He was with the Rams beforehand, correct? Am I getting that right? The Rams? He was under McVay for a year.
Yes,
but
as a defensive coordinator, I think, right?
Yes. I just like the idea. They have a decent defense with Joey Bosa there already and stuff like that. I really like them on the defensive side. Then offensively, you have one of the best up-and-coming quarterbacks in the league in Justin Herbert, who was the offensive player of the year last year. And you have a brand new O-line, basically, they drafted the first rounder in Rashawn Slater, and they got three other guys, O'Day, Abushi, Matt Feeler, and Corey Lindsey. I love the Chargers. Besides having the best uniform in the NFL, I love the Chargers to make a serious push this year and get in as a wild card and make the playoffs. That's what I'm going with this year. The Los Angeles Chargers, are going to make the playoffs.
I like that as a bold prediction. My bold prediction is going to take place in the NFC North. I don't think the Green Bay Packers are going to win the North. It's going to be not the Lions and not the Vikings. I think the Chicago Bears are going to win the NFC North. Mark it down. That's going to be my bold prediction.
So with that bold prediction, how many games is that Andy Dalton start for the Bears? 2? 1?
I think that the Lions and Bears play week 4. I think you'll see Fields there. I think it just sets up nice. Dalton, they throw him to the Rams week 1 on the road, Sunday Night Football. That'd be a tough spot for a rookie. So you go out there, you let the red rifle, you throw him to the Wolves and see what he does there. I think week 2, they've got Cincinnati, his old team that drafted him. So if he's got anything left, you'd think that he would want to play against his old team. And then week 3 is another good defense. I think it might be the Browns. So you've got a real tough schedule there. And, hey, if Dalton does well, fine. But week 4 is the perfect spot to drop Fields in, going up against let's just say a toothless Lions team. I don't want to say that. There you go. I know Beth's already saying with Dalton doing the red rifle. I think that Fields will be in there he'll be in there week 4 no matter what happens in those first 3 games. And, I'm taking the Chicago Bears. Remember, they were in the playoffs last year.
They were in the playoffs last year. I don't think they're going to win the North. Like I said a few minutes ago, Aaron Rodgers is just on a different planet still. He's still playing out of his mind. And with the chip on his shoulder, that man is very dangerous. Packers.
Well, remember, this is a bold prediction segment. It's not let's go with the chalk teams. And the other thing about it is that Aaron Rodgers, and this, we're going to see how it plays out. I know they're all professional. They get into camp. But when he's telling everybody, I don't know, the GM can take it right here, and all these wide receivers suck, and they're not letting me, all these other guys might be you know what? If things start going sideways, these guys might be F Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers can go to hell. And so you got to watch that kind of stuff. I know they're all professionals and everything else, but if the tough gets going there in Green Bay, I can see a lot of people saying, you know what, the hell with Aaron Rodgers. So keep an eye on that. Bold prediction. All right, we're looking for a surprise team and a disappointing team. Let's go with the surprise team first. Jelinek.
Like I said, the Los Angeles Chargers, man. Them, or if you count the Lions winning more than 3 games, I think that's a surprise they were competent. But my go-to is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they're going to play really well this year. Justin Herbert's going to look like a stud quarterback who's in his 6th year in the NFL. The kid's just electric. I love Keenan Allen. They're off on as the wide receiver. They are a fun team to watch. They're going to be even more fun this year with Herbert linking up with Keenan Allen even more. I love the Los Angeles Chargers this year, without a doubt.
Yeah, well, so you must love them because not only is your bold pick, it's your surprise pick as well.
I'm doubling
the safety from Florida State. If he's back and healthy, I think that's going to be the key there for the Chargers. My surprise team, I am going to the AFC, and it's also a guy that I picked for plus 8,000 for the MVP. I didn't bet it, but I back in July I said I would have bet it, and that is Big Ben Roethlisberger. I know they gave T.J. Watt big guaranteed cash out on the defensive side, I like the defense that the Steelers bring, and you know what? They've got the best wide receiving core in the NFL. They rebuilt their offensive line, and they drafted Najee Harris. I don't know if people are sleeping on the Steelers, but I think the black and gold, black and yellow, whatever you want to say, I like to call them black and yellow, but all my Steeler fans like to say it's not really yellow, although it looks exactly like yellow. But the Steelers, for my surprise team, I'll go to the disappointing team, and I was going to pick the Colts. You know, they have
Carson Wentz now.
Carson Wentz, and then the best guard, Nelson. You know, he goes down with the same thing, and it looked like Quentin Nelson looked like he wasn't going to be ready for week one. Maybe he is going to be, but they lost their left tackle. That is way too many injuries, and with a dicey team. I like their defense, and I hope Jonathan Taylor's on my fantasy team, and they get some all right wide receivers. But you know what? I like Frank Reich as a coach, but I thought that they were going to be my team an hour ago that I picked. But you know what? I'm going to go with the Ravens, man. You don't just lose your top two backs and be able to recover from that at one position right here. I'm going. You know, J.K. Dobbins was ready to take up the slack for Mark Ingram, and then they had the Gus Bus was rolling in, looking great in camp. Both of those guys hurt their knees. You know what? The whole thing, like when Lamar Jackson 2 years ago, everybody's like, why can't anybody stop Lamar Jackson? Well, one, he's great. Lamar Jackson's a great athlete. He's a great quarterback. He can throw it. He can run it. But also, when you looked at that tape breakdown, it was because Mark Ingram was so dangerous when they were handing him the football off the bat, and you had to respect that as a defensive end. And if they didn't, Lamar was pulling it down, and he was scooting around the end. Now those defensive ends are just going to stay home. They're going to be like, let's go. I don't care. Go ahead, hand it to Le'Veon Bell. He's 157 years old. So I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens as the disappointing team in the NFL. Fresh, hot take.
That is a sizzling take. And also, the team that you said was going to be a surprise to yourself, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's my disappointing team. They have never finished below 500 with Mike Tomlin as the coach. They've made the playoffs basically every single year. But the way I'm looking at it is that Big Ben is cooked, man. I mean, looking at his stats from when he came in, first of all, he's the last quarterback from the 2004 draft class, which is nuts to me to begin with. But from 2004 to 2018, Big Ben averaged 7.8 pass yards in attempts. But in 2019 and 2020, he dipped down to 6.2. I just don't trust the man anymore. He just doesn't look good. He's shown fading mobility. Like, he doesn't look comfortable in the pocket. Like, he's old as hell. I don't trust Big Ben for that reason. And Mason Rudolph, serviceable backup. But if Ben gets hurt, they're just done for the year. And on top of that, the Steelers have you seen the Steelers' schedule? It is brutal. They're playing the Packers, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the Bears, and the Titans. I don't see them doing well against all those teams like that. I do not trust the Steelers this year. I think Mike Tomlin's finally going to have a season that he's like, I don't know, a game below 500 or something like that. 1 or 2 games below or right at 500. They're going to be a disappointing team this year. All because of Big Ben.
All right. So we're on dueling. I call them the surprise team. You call them the disappointing team. That was pretty good. All right, let's see. We have any feedback coming in? There's Paul's got a bold prediction for the Lions. We'll make our Lions prediction coming up. Anytime somebody throws in a tie, I like it. I like it.
Oh,
I like it.
I don't love the tie thing, man. I'm just not a big fan of putting a tie in my schedule like that.
All right.
So no ties whatsoever. I don't like that idea.
Here's Finelli from Pennsylvania. Has got the Dolphins as his disappointing team. He thinks Tua will continue to struggle. That is
Tua wasn't that bad though. I can't.
He was as a rookie. He was as a rookie, but you know they say that he's looking a lot better here. I look at these are if we're just going about like the Eagles are supposed to suck. Like we know that. Oh, it's Finelli. He's a Pennsylvania guy. He didn't want to have this video on there today. He probably likes my Steelers. I wonder, is he more Team Fithian, the surprise team in the NFL with the additions that they made, or is Finelli more a Jelinek lead? That Big Ben is old in the tooth, even though he lost the weight, and he's going to fold. Let's see it.
Yeah,
are you fading the Steelers, Finelli, or is Big Ben washed, or are you with me?
Big Ben is cooked, man. I mean, Ben can say all he wants. This is the first year he's in the best shape of his life or whatever like that, but he doesn't look comfortable playing football anymore. He's not mobile at all. I do not trust the man anymore. I don't think the Steelers are going to be that good this year.
You'll be surprised what an offensive line and a running game can do, especially when you have the best wide receiving core in the NFL. And, oh, yeah, not to be all Penn State, but Freiermuth looks like he could be an awesome nobody likes slippery finger Eric Ebron, but you know what? Freiermuth looks like he could be a monster for him at tight end. I like the Steelers.
Big Ben's got to be able to get the ball to him. Big Ben has to get the ball to them, and I do not trust that he's going to do that. On top of that, I have a problem because I accidentally made a pick in my 4th round last night for my fantasy football team. I accidentally picked Juju instead of somebody else, and I was reading all the stats and all that, and just lost track of time. So I'm livid that Juju Smith-Schuster is on my team right now. I'm livid about it.
Well, they got a lot of competition for targets there with the best wide receiving core in the NFL. There's Finelli making the point about a new offensive coordinator, and he is all-team Fith. Here's K. Salty. Always good to see old KSH on there. He wants Michigan to win, but they just lost a running back and their wide receiver. I don't know about that running back. I don't know who he's referring to. Did Michigan just announce that they lost a running back? Maybe we'll have Pete check on that. That would be news to me. And here's Rob Diddy. Steelers. He's with you.
Yeah.
Even though they're for the first 16 games, he's got them going 16-0, and then they'll lose their final game, and they'll be 16-1.
You see that picture of Big Ben on the screen right now? That's what we're going to be seeing all year, of him just looking upset or sad the whole time. I just do not trust them at all. I think them starting off the year 11-0 last year is completely fraudulent. We saw what team they really were after that. They have a brutal schedule too. I don't think the Steelers are going to be that great this year. I hate to see it because, I like Mike Tomlin. I've liked Ben Roethlisberger.
You drafted Juju.
I drafted Juju. I have to I have to die on that flag now that I have Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, you're putting out bad juju. You're putting out bad juju on your own guy, on the Steelers.
I have to, man.
They're disappointing. Tomlin's going to be under 500. Roethlisberger's washed. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's something we can duel on all year long. I love it. Let's turn the chapter. Turn the page.
All right. With this, we're moving to the college side of the football. And Fifth, the Spartans are hosting for their home opener the Youngstown State Penguins, which is a sick mascot. I didn't know that was a thing until today when I was doing my research. But will Kenneth Walker III back up his monster performance he had against Northwestern this weekend at Spartan Stadium?
Well, I don't think he's going to go for 264 yards.
No,
but
I agree.
I don't know. Did you hear anybody compare him now? Like, I was watching him, the script helmet with the block Michigan State and the high white socks. I don't know. Did you come up with a comp, or did you hear anybody else compare him to anybody? I didn't hear much of any comparisons.
No,
he looked a little bit. Then I'm thinking about it. At first, my first thing is I want to say, Marshall Faulk, which is the highest praise that you could give somebody. He reminds me. He looks a little bit like DeAndre Swift there running.
I got a little bit of that.
A little bit of
I
DeAndre
understand
Swift.
that one. Yeah, I'm with you on DeAndre Swift. But hey, I'm not expecting 264 yards in the ground and 4 TDs. I'm expecting to put up between 150 yards in the ground with a TD or two. I think that'd be a solid comeback game after a monster first game. Absolutely.
Set the over and under. You think 150 yards?
Let's set the over under at 130 yards. That's what I want to set it at, 130.
Yeah, well, I'll go over. Youngstown State, you should be able to put up some yardage. I find that the interesting part, just like a lot of people were complaining, some Michigan fans and some others were saying, hey, Michigan shouldn't have had Ronnie Bell out there on punt returns. Look, you can get hurt that way, and I didn't agree with that. But I think when you get a guy that goes out there and just a star is born in week one, like Kenneth Walker III, 23 carries, 264 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, he was he's the story of the Big Ten. As a single player going out there and having one of the greatest debuts of any player ever. 7th highest rushing total ever for a Spart. I mean, we just go on and on and on. It'll be interesting to see. To me, I would say going into the game, if I'm Mel Tucker, I want to get him 20 carries. What are you going to do with those 20 carries? He had 23 carries against Northwestern. If you get into a situation though where, let's say you're up 3 scores and you're in the third quarter, he's put together, he's had 100 yards already in the first half. How many more carries are you going to give him? Are you getting into a situation like, hey, we're just trying to let Kenneth Walker get his numbers because he's gone off and, he's like can make a statement, as, he's arrived in college football. Not anybody can do it week 1, outstanding week 1, but then you back it up and have a week 2 where he can go for like 200 yards. If I'm Mel Tucker, I'm very, I'm wanting, of course, this guy to just go off, and I think that I might give him a couple extra carries, especially if he's having another crazy day, because then, Heisman talk week 1, of course, is ridiculous. September Heisman talk, you can say that's ridiculous, but
yeah.
You know what? 2 games, if he goes north of 200 or 2 games, he's certainly like, hey, what's some early talk here about a surprise guy in the Big Ten, if not the country? Well, it'll be KW3. And then if he can go for 3 weeks, then you'd say like, okay, it is. Then you'll start saying, I'll say it too, and everybody else will. Well, it's a little bit early, but you know what? It isn't early on hype and excitement if he goes out and can get 200 yards against the Penguins.
Yeah, I think that's achievable. And he had 23 carries on last Friday. I think he'll have somewhere around 18 to 23 carries again this week, but Peyton Thorne only threw the ball 25 times in that Northwestern game. And I understand that Michigan State is going to try to attack the ball on the ground and attack defenses like that. But I need to see more of an attack in the air. I need Peyton Thorne, correct? I keep messing up the Peytons. Do I have the right Thorne? The right Peyton,
Manning. Peyton Manning.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
He didn't look like Peyton Manning in week 1.
No, yeah. I
don't know if you know what, it's one of those things like, hey, it's the Penguins. You're supposed to demolish them. So,
yeah.
Like if Peyton Thorne comes out there and throws 4 touchdowns, I think like, okay, that's great. Hey, you want to see that? I want to see Kenneth Walker go for 200 yards. That's what I'm looking for. I would continue clearly. And Kenneth Walker, I like the first quote that I saw from him when I was reading the story about post Northwestern. Walker was like, hey, what'd you think of the game? He was like, I want to credit my offensive line. That's a good running back, coming out. Yep. Crediting the O-line. But, yeah, the O-line was blowing the Wildcats off the ball. Let's see it. Let's see the O-line again. Road grading out there. You don't think that offensive line wants to get him 200 yards?
Oh, the offensive line totally wants to get him 200 yards, and I think everyone wants to see 200 yards. I just really want to see Peyton Thorne air the ball out a little bit. We haven't really seen it yet, and I didn't like him throwing for only 180 yards and 1 touchdown, I believe, on last Friday. I need to see a little bit more from Peyton Thorne. That's all I'm saying. I want Kenneth
threw a touchdown to Walker.
Yeah, he threw a touchdown. I would love to see 2 or 3 touchdowns from Peyton Thorne. That's all I want. I'm not trying to argue with you at all because I want Kenneth Walker III to ball out again, but I just need to see more of an attack in the air. That's all I want to
At
say.
what point? How big of a Spartan fan are you? You say you're just a little bit of Spartan fan? You're like the Jolly Green Giant? I mean, where's your fandom at?
I think on a scale of 1 to 10, probably a solid 7. Half of my family's gone to Michigan State. I can't stand Jim Harbaugh, so that's basically my hatred of why I'm a 7 out of 10 for Spartan fan.
That's showing your green side.
Yeah, I'm always going to choose to watch Michigan State over Michigan. Let's put it that way. Go green, go white, man. Even though I'm a Wayne State Warrior, go green, go white.
Well, they're green, sort of, aren't they?
Green and gold, man. A little bit of black.
Good picture of Thorne there. My question is, when do you buy the number 9 Spartan jersey?
The number 9 Spartan jersey.
Isn't that what Walker is, 9?
Yeah, I'm not a big football jersey guy. I like rocking my nice little Michigan State quarter zip, but if Kenneth Walker III goes out for 200 yards tomorrow or Saturday, and maybe follows that up with another one week 3, I'll buy a jersey without a doubt. If he has more than 600 yards,
he goes 2 against the Penguins, and then they got the U at the U. He goes north of 200 against the U.
If he starts off the season so they're at the U in week 3. If they start off at Ryan Field for 200 yards, at Spartan Stadium for 200 yards, and then at the U for another 200 yards, I will gladly buy a crisp white Kenneth Walker III number 9 jersey.
Yeah, I think we're looking ahead to the end of October. We had a feedback from Decro on there saying 42-0 against Michigan. Well, 42-0 Michigan. He doesn't say against who, or maybe he's just talking about Saturday against Washington. And it's a great spot to turn the page and get to the third chapter, because that is taking us to some Michigan talk. And, begrudgingly, we're going to have to pull Jelinek. I guess it would be this way. We have to pull him because he just wants to talk about the Spartans all the time because he doesn't like Michigan. But Michigan, they are playing on Saturday night. It's a maze out in Ann Arbor. They bring in Washington. What are your thoughts here on this game for Michigan's second game of the year?
I think Michigan has to do the business with them as well. Washington just lost to an FCS team in Montana, which is not a bad FCS team. Let's just all say that to begin with.
Montana's not a bad FCS team.
They're not. But with that, the Washington Huskies looked dreadful last weekend playing Montana. So I think Michigan's just going to have to absolutely roll Washington. I need a good statement win. And if somehow the Huskies win, that's the first nail in the coffin for Jim Harbaugh. But looking at the Huskies roster, I think they have, 10 starters coming back, and Michigan transfer Giles Jackson. I'm sure Jackson's going to be fired up to play in Ann Arbor against his old team, but 10 starters coming back on your offense is amazing. We were talking about that with Tampa Bay earlier in the show. They have a few guys who are like all Pac-12 offensive linemen or whatever. I'm not sure exactly, first team, second team, whatever, but it didn't look good against Montana, so they really got to turn the corner to play Michigan. But I think Michigan's just going to roll Washington.
Yeah, I have to try to keep my feet, screwed to the ground here. I remember what happened in week 1 last year. Michigan went out. It was a night game in Minnesota, and they went out and they played really well. They scored 42 points. They beat the Gophers, and there was questions about their offensive line and corners, and everybody looked good. And I was thinking they look great. Michigan State went out and played Rutgers, and they looked terrible. They lost the game, and they looked terrible doing it. Turned the ball over left and right. So going into the Michigan State game, week 2, I thought Michigan was going to beat them 100-0. I think 50-0. I mean, the line was like 30 points. Michigan was favored by. I couldn't have been any more confident in a victory than I was on Halloween 2020, and it ended up being a nightmare. So as much as, Washington going out and losing to frickin' Montana, I'm thinking, you know what? Yeah, the Wolverines should come in and smash the hell out of them, and it should be, complete maize and blue night. It should be just a great night. They should roll it up and score 50 points. But you know what? There's no Michigan can't be. There's no room for anybody to be overconfident if you're a Michigan fan. Like it just happened last year. Like it was the game that you're going to win by 1,000,000 points, and you friggin' lost. So there's no overconfidence with anybody, with anything Michigan. It does remind me of 2000. Well, at least these are some of the thoughts that went through my head. When Michigan lost to Appalachian State in 2007 in that first game that all Michigan non-Michigan fans, loved. They followed it up the following week against Oregon, and Oregon came into Michigan Stadium and just punched them in the mouth repeatedly. And that's what I'm expecting. Like, how many times are we going to put Beth up there on the screen? It just kept, they were jackhammering Michigan. They were putting a sledgehammer in the end zone. I think Garrett Blunt might have been on that team. It was just such a bludgeoning, and I sat there and was watching Oregon do that. I'm expecting Michigan to do that against Washington, but there's no room for getting overconfident at all. In that game, you can't take the Huskies, and you can't get over there. You can't take them for granted.
No, I totally agree with you, and I think Michigan should absolutely not try to look forward to the week after the Huskies. But what I'm saying is, if Michigan goes out and just rails with Washington, they got to be a ranked team after Saturday, right? Would you say that? If they beat them like 42-14 or something like that, they got to be a ranked team. They got to be in the 20s. Because Washington started the year at number 20. So,
well, they'll be on their way. If they go out and look impressive, sure. Like I don't get too worked up about the rankings. Let's see. Michigan beat Northern Illinois and Rutgers. After they beat Washington, so they'd be 4-0. I would expect them to be ranked heading then to Madison to take on Wisconsin. But Wisconsin is a gauge to how strong you are. And Michigan last year got smashed 49-11 at home, and the year before the game was over at half in Madison. So, saying, Michigan should be ranked if they go. I don't care really if they're ranked. If they move up and they're playing Wisconsin and they're all the way up to 17. That's the litmus test. If they're going to be able to show up, they don't get the slapped upside the head by Wisconsin.
Yeah, they
Ronnie
did their
Bell
job.
Touchdown. We're not going to see that this Saturday night, unfortunately.
That really hurts, man. But Michigan did what they had to do against Western. I understand
Henning.
it's a MAC team and all that, but Michigan did what they had to do, and I think they're going to do exactly what they did to Western on Saturday. I am worried about once they go. Are they playing in Madison this year?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first game I'm actually worried about in Michigan's schedule. I have no problem with Rutgers, and I have no problem with NIU. As soon as they get to Madison, that's where the real test begins.
And I don't think anybody picked Michigan to beat Wisconsin after the last 2 years, but that's one where you know exactly what you're going to get, and that's a game where you got to man up and show how tough you are. And when you get humiliated like they have done the last 2 years, if they go out there and get routed, then it's gonna feel like same old Michigan. That's why they got to go out there and they got to find a way to show that it's not the same old Michigan, and this year is going to be different. All right, you ready to turn the page?
Let's get back to the NFL, man. And with that, the Lions start their season this Sunday at 1:00 playing the 49ers. What are we thinking about for a yearly prediction for the team? How do you think they're going to do? 3, 4, 5 wins, 10 wins, 16 wins?
When the schedule came out, I did an initial, go through the schedule, win-loss, and I had them at, with 6 wins. And then, the way the preseason went with the struggles, I don't want to say the struggles of Okudah, but it's not like Okudah was out there, with some blanket or something, but really the struggles of Sewell. And then with the news today about Taylor Decker not being available for the opener, maybe it'll just be one game, but that's a little foreboding to me. And then I saw the number on, depending on where you're shopping for your totals, I saw it drop to 4.5, the Lions season total. I've got them at 5-12 with, I think they're going to start the season 0-5. So that 0-17 talk is going to be looming large. That's going to be the narrative really quickly for this team. But I think that they can, I think they'll beat Cincinnati. I think they'll beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And then I think the Packers, Vikings, and Bears, those will be their 5 wins. So 5-12. I sound drunk when I have to add up. It took me all those years. It's like 5-12. It's like, wait a second, what am I talking about? Yeah, I think 5 wins. I'm putting it down in stone. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I remember you talking about saying that week 4 for the Bears would be a good time to start playing Justin Fields to get him accustomed to all that. But I have the Lions' first win on week 4 in Chicago, just for the fact that if Dalton's starting, I think the Lions are going to win the game. I think that's going to be their first win. I think they'll beat the Bengals, the Eagles, probably one game against the Vikings, and then I say the Falcons as well. I'm not too worried about the Atlanta Falcons this year. And I just threw in a what-the-hell win with the Cardinals. I mean, I know the Cardinals are at Ford Field. If we were playing in Arizona, we'd be screwed. I don't think we've ever won in that stadium, to be honest with you. But, yeah, my ceiling's pretty low as well. I think 5 wins would be solid for the team. Honestly, though, the way I just said that, I feel like that's actually a pretty solid season for Dan Campbell's first year, because in years past, the Lions have had decent rosters. They haven't had the worst roster in the league, but now they actually have one of the 3 worst rosters in the league, but they have a new regime and all that. I think if Dan Campbell can get 5 wins out of his team, I think it's a very successful season for the Lions.
Yeah, I just wonder if they can win only 5 games and start the season out 0-5 if it goes like I'm talking about, and if it's not going to feel like same old Lions. I don't know. I mean, that's the charge. Like, last year with the Dolphins, there were a lot of the national media, and the Dolphins weren't any good. But you know what? The Dolphins, like they fought for their coach. Like they played their asses off. They were in it in the fourth quarter, and then they just got overwhelmed at the end. But you felt like, hey, they had their coach. They've got some things going. Tua was his first year. They were flip-flopping him with Fitzpatrick and everything else. But here they were expected to be in the running for the number one pick, and they weren't, because they were out there, and they played hard for their coach. And that's looking for the development of certain players, watching for them to play their tail off, and then and not having Dan Campbell be like some kind of same old Lion coach where he gets lion eyes, he gets glazed over, or he does something really stupid. Because it is part of it. I know, like, super uber Lion fans are like, shut up, don't talk about, you don't know anything about Dan Campbell. Look, I want Dan Campbell to succeed. But when you are the Lions, you really are up against it. Like, not only half of their fan base are waiting for the other shoe to drop and be like, oh, you know what, this is a clown show like always. But the national media is there. They're waiting for it to be a clown show too. And, so it's always like everybody's just waiting to put that big red nose on the Lions and say, look at these guys are clowns like they always are. So it's more difficult when you're spiraling one way or the other. It's more difficult to pull out of that. So that's what can they show some signs that they're not the same old Lions, where they don't have these black swan losses and they just play hard and they look like they're headed in the right direction. Not a huge bar, but in some ways, when you're an organization, we don't have to go over it with the Fords and the Lions. In some ways, it's gigantic.
Yeah, and when you bring up SOL, I really don't want to think about that term and anything like that. But what's going on right now with Penei Sewell is so SOL in every way, shape, and form. They drafted this kid who was an all-star, or basically a stud left tackle at Oregon. Like, you can't make stuff up like what he was doing. He wasn't faking it by any means. Penei Sewell was damn good on the left side of the Oregon line like that. They drafted him to be a right tackle. Okay, fine, whatever. He hasn't been good there in the preseason. And now with all this Taylor Decker news, and if you can throw up the tweet from Dave Burkett, that'd be awesome. But Dave Burkett just said that Taylor Decker's been absent. They have Penei. They're entertaining about putting Penei Sewell on the left side. And if he makes his pro debut on the left side as a left tackle, and then the next week he goes back to right tackle where he sucked, that is the biggest SOL thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, I don't think anything takes the cake for SOL on top of that. Like, I think that is the biggest Lions F-up of all time if they pull that stunt. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I think that the news there with Burkett is saying that they're entertaining that idea. We did see that when the injury report came out, they ruled Decker out, so he is not playing. So you're going to your backup left tackle or you're flipping him. And like we talked about before, if it was just going to be a game, I wouldn't flip him over and have him play left tackle. I would just keep him over there at right. But if it's something that you think is going to be where it's going to be a permanent move, then then I understand moving him over there to left tackle. And you know what, I get what you're saying about it. Feels like a same old Lions move. Draft a guy at 6 or 7 or whatever it was, and then I'm really struggling and looking like a revolving door over there at right tackle. Like, okay, he didn't play football for a year. It's just like Jamar Chase and Cincy. He's dropping the football left and right in the preseason. It's like
the football's bigger.
Well, you'd like guys to come out and be great right off the bat, but it doesn't. There've been plenty of guys that have struggled out of the gate and have ended up being Hall of Famers. So. But you do. When you're the Lions, you're always thinking that, this guy's a bust, or they'll screw it up or anything else. So they do have to overcome that, and they have to overcome that with a lot of the fans, a lot of the media, a lot of the national media, all of that.
I'm not calling Penei Sewell a bust at all. I think the kid's going to be great. I'm just worried the Lions are going to keep flip-flopping him just from back and forth from left to right guard. I want him to be – if they want him to be the right tackle, I want him out there for every snap as the right tackle. If there's a possibility of him playing left tackle, you got to move Decker over immediately and have Penei Sewell play left tackle. It's just that simple. I don't want him to make his pro debut at left tackle if he's been playing right tackle for 2 months now and move him back in week 2. I think that's the most absurd SOL thing I've ever heard. So You got to just choose a side for Sewell and keep him there. If he stinks as a right guard or right tackle for the first 3 or 4 games, fine, let it happen. If he gets better after that, I don't care. He's going to struggle a little bit. It's a massive change going from the Pac-12 North all the way to the NFL.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, Nick Bosa is going to be going against the left tackle, whoever's going to be there for the Lions, who got injured last year. He might be the best defensive end in the NFL. So
he is the best defensive end, without a doubt.
Yeah, let's talk about baptism by fire. Maybe they'll flip him around, put him over there as Sewell, even if he's over at right tackle. But he's definitely going to go over there as a right defensive end going against the left tackle. So keep an eye on that. There's Beth talking about the former Lions front office man finding a job in football, the Major League Football. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that league. But good for Tom Lewan.
It's like the American Association Dodgeball, or American Association of Dodgeball of America, whatever, from the ADAA from Dodgeball.
Hey, well, maybe they can make a movie about it. Dodgeball was one of my favorite movies. It's awesome.
Oh, intern Pete's in the Lions going to be 3-14. I can see that. As long as they look competent, I don't care, man. It's that simple.
He's down on him.
Yeah,
Pete's
I mean, the Lions are what? One of the 3 worst teams in the league. The only team I can think of that's worse, Texas or Houston Texans. I think it goes Texans 32, Lions 31, and whoever you want after that.
Yeah, well, the Texans, they're trying to lose. I mean, they've made no bones about it here, and they don't have their quarterback, and they're trading guys away left and right. So, in Vegas, the only team that has lower numbers than the Lions are the Texans. I did see Darren Ravel. Somebody retweeted something that he threw up there today. He's one of these, sports entertainers or whatever on Twitter. Ravel indicated that the team that is getting the most action on over and unders for futures, the Detroit Lions over 5 is the most action in Vegas is on betting the Lions over 5. However, the team that's getting the most action on betting under is also the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are being bet the most in Vegas, over and under. Lions are bringing in a lot of cash, which is weird. It means Vegas is going to make a lot of money.
I don't know. I remember on the show a little halfway through the summer, we were talking some Lions football when Chapman was still here, and I said that the Lions were going to win 6 games or more. If not, I have to shave my head. One of my buddies just texted me that a few days ago, reminding me that that's still a thing. So we'll keep that advised throughout the football season. But
what am I looking at?
I don't know, man. Looks like Darren.
Oh, there's
Ravel.
Darren Ravel.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got Darren Ravel up there, and top 5 get-in ticket prices for this week's NFL games. Huh? It's going to cost for the Raiders or Ravens. It's going to cost $209 to get into the stadium. That's pretty wild. I didn't know that. And the lowest would be the Chargers or the football team out of Washington, 42. That's pretty interesting. I hate Darren Ravel with a passion. I hate that man. So he can do whatever he wants on Twitter.
You know what? I followed as somebody who's been on Twitter, 15 years probably, right when it started out.
Mm-hmm.
I used to follow Darren Ravel, and then he became a kind of like you're talking about. I don't know, jerk. What'd you called?
I'm not sure if I can say it or not, but a D-bag.
You can say D-bag. Yeah. I buy out of that. And so, like you, I was like, I'm just done with it. And I unfollowed him. So sometimes his tweets turn up. I could go and take the extra step. I could block him. And then mute him so I won't even see his tweets if somebody else retweets him, right?
Nope. Yeah, that's the move. That's what I've done with a few things now. It's so much better. Anything Darren Ravel I never see on Twitter. It's the first time I've seen Darren Ravel on Twitter in 4 months.
See, there you go. And how's your life and how you doing with that? It's been a couple of years since I unfollowed him, and I feel good about it.
I'm sleeping better at night now that I know I'm not going to see Darren Ravel every day.
We don't need him. That was an interesting tweet by him. So not all of them are bad. The Lions are getting the most action.
Oh, Rob's saying he put up the wrong tweet.
Well, that's all right, Rob. That's all right.
Producer Rob, you're good.
I'll tell you, Rob. Rob, talking about Penei Sewell baptism by fire, having him go against Nick Bosa. his first day as executive producer. He gets in. We have a thunderstorm that knocks Jelinik's Wi-Fi out. And then my mic, I went back and listened to the show. I was like, and we went to Raj, and suddenly it balanced out. And then at the end, it was back to me, me sounding like I was breaking up. So it was a rough one.
That was tough for a show for the producer. Tough for a show for the EP.
Yeah, so just like football teams make their most improvement from game 1 to game 2. He's he's made great improvements, but a lot of it you didn't have to deal with Mother Nature here. So, great job. All right, so that's 4 chapters in the book. That takes us, and we're ready to turn the page.
Let's do a little gambling. And Fith, are any of your do either of your bets have to do with the Lions at all or not?
I do have I have money against the Lions. It's one of the first rules. So here's my first foray into real legitimate gambling. I've been in survivor pools. I play fantasy football. So you say, what are you talking about? That's all gambling. True. Yep. But I've never actually bet on the Super Bowl. And I don't even know. I just play squares. And
that counts.
A couple years ago, I did. I've bet the Super Bowl here and there. The year the Eagles beat the Patriots. The Patriots were, I think, a 6-point favorite. I actually wasn't betting that. But my friend, who's a big Spartan fan like you, he's like, Eagles are going to beat them. I'll take them straight up. And I'm like, wow, that's great value for me at the Super Bowl party. Like, I don't have to give the 6.5. I'm like, I'll take it. Of course, I lost that bet, which I didn't like. But I'm saying all that because I don't, I didn't gamble. But I'm in. But my first rule for people is, don't bet the Lions. Never bet the Lions. Just stay away from the Lions because, however it's going to go, I've seen it over the years. It's maddening. So that's been the first rule. And then yet here I am. But I went in and I took advantage. Like everybody's like, how could you not take advantage of some of these giveaways? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to look at some of the giveaways. I've got the Bucks plus 73 tonight. I'm like, okay, I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about winning that bet. But then I got 8 $25 free bets to go out there. And one of them, I bet the 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to beat the Lions. I got that one 7.5.
Oh, yeah.
And so there I am.
Do you think the Lions will cover that at all or not?
No, I'm taking San Francisco. I think San Francisco's going to cover.
All right, got it.
I went big. You know what? The only dog that I took was Dallas tonight with the 8.5, but that's already up to 10. So I don't know. I'm pulling for the Cowboys, although I don't want them to win by 73 because I've got a big bet.
The line for the Cowboys Bucks game has gone to 10 points. Really?
It was 8.5. I don't think it was Darren Ravel, although maybe it was somebody retweeting him. The line definitely has moved up. So I don't know why. I would say I'd have to. You know what? I can look. Well, we're talking here.
I'm actually taking. I think the Jets are going to cover the 4 points that they have going. I can't remember who they're playing. Of course, I'm going to write it down.
Carolina.
They're playing Carolina. Yes, they're going to cover that. I'm not sure how Sam Darnold's going to transition to playing in Carolina under Matt Rule right away, but yeah, I like the Jets to cover 9.5. And honestly, what the hell? Cowboys will cover too. I want to see Dak play well. That's a feel-good story for everybody. Cowboys and the Jets are going to cover. That's my major wager.
I took the Cowboys. I got the Jags, the Packers, the Bears, the Ravens, which I don't feel very strong about now. Maybe I should pull that bet up. But since they're the Monday night game, 49ers, Vikings, and I can't read my right. Oh, Seahawks. I also took the Seahawks on the road at the Colts, so I think are going to be one of the very disappointing teams, although I picked the Ravens, so I got to check and see if I can go back. Maybe I'll go the other way on that particular bet now. So that's it. Going to be a wild first weekend. I can't wait, man. The football start tonight. This is going to be a great game. I'm hoping the anticipation just for it's awesome. It's like a party. Yeah. If I could yell and scream at how excited I am. First full weekend of football all the way through with Saturday and Sunday, and then with a Monday night game. So it's going to be great. No, that's all right. That's all right.
NFL with football kicks.
No, Dan. Dan's busy. I told him to call us if he had a shot. So don't call Dan. Okay, go ahead. You got a final point?
Right now. Hey, NFL football kicks off in 21 minutes. I've never been more excited in my life for this weekend. Last weekend of college football was unreal. I am so excited to listen and look at Scott Hansen, that beautiful human being, on Sunday, and just watch football all damn day. So
Yeah, we're double box right now.
Yeah, double box. Hey, Dennis, it's Dagger time. Let's go. Go Lions, baby.
We'll see. We will talk with you on Tuesday. Thanks to Pete Finelli for rolling with the chat, and Rob Diddy for running, Rob Banker for being the executive producer, and for Brian Jonick, I'm Dennis Fithian. Roll that music. Good night, and we'll talk with you on Tuesday.
See you after my vacation. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, yeah. See you in 2 weeks, I guess.
2 weeks, baby.
Have fun. Take some pictures. Turn it up.